Hello, contender. Welcome to the Hyperscape. I'm glad you're here. You've connected to the Hyperscape via the B-Link, an amazing device created by Prisma Dimensions.
Hello, Bloodworth. Yesterday,
Hello.
You sat down with me and you chatted about a game. Now I got a game for you that I got to play. I got to do a very extended multiplayer session with Hyperscape, which is a new first-person battle royale FPS that you might have already heard about, coming from Ubisoft. And so this was last week that we got to check this out, and really got to spend as much time as I really wanted to with this. It was the kind of thing where like I ended up bowing out about 10 minutes before the set time ended, because I was like, I've done about 20 or so matches of this. This is great.
Nice.
But it's strictly FPS. It takes place in 2054 and involves the Crown Rush Championship. So this is like a sport in this world. This is not just like wartime. It's celebrities in this world. And it takes place in Neo Arcadia City, which is like not super Crackdown, somewhere in between Crackdown and Saints Row.
Okay.
And it actually was one of my favorite things about the game was it's like a huge city, and you do your classic battle royale drop. You're actually in a little pod, and there's an interesting moment if you can kind of steer the pod, and then you can see the pod gets darker and then splits, and then it's just your character, and then you kind of drop straight from there down. So it took a little while for me to get like, oh wait, I thought I was going to head towards that thing, but I dropped a little bit earlier. So that took a little bit to get used to, but you are looking at the city. You start in a tower. That's where you queue. And so you can look out at just this massive city. And the city environment was really interesting. It's really, really good for sniper rifles. There was a lot of...
The whole thing is city? There's not like...
Nope, whole thing city.
Interesting.
It's a different type of city, but it's a very metropolis environment. And I actually was kind of impressed by that, because there's a lot of the battle royales that I've played. There's big kind of grassy fields, and it's neat to get different styles of things when you go through a world. I wouldn't necessarily say it was samey, but like some of the districts, the only thing that really distinguished them, if you could tell from really high up, were like, those rooftops are purple and these rooftops are yellow, just so people can shout out like, yellow rooftops, let's go over there. But it definitely had its own style. It just really went for scale. There's just a lot of really tall buildings, and there was a lot of like...
How do you scale those buildings if you're on the ground? Do you actually go inside the interiors and work your way up?
There are launch pads, and then there are, because it's kind of got like a sci-fi game show vibe, there are doors that have this like orange force field on them, and it's just kind of like one, you can shoot it or melee it, and then you can get in as you were picking up weapons. So that was just kind of the vibe. Like when you play Fortnite, I would just go like room to room to room, and this was just like staircases. Like I would like go into a room, check the first floor, run up to the second floor, check that, run to the third floor. They said they're going to introduce new story elements and new characters regularly. There are 9 districts on the map. Didn't really get a vibe of like what the story is to this game at all. But one of the interesting things about weapons, I definitely had my favorites. I'm definitely more of like an assault rifle fan in games like this. Although again, just with the rooftops, like snipers really made it tricky for us. And some of the guys I was playing with definitely noticed some professionals like via their names. When they logged in, they were like, "Uh-oh," like we did okay. We definitely did not win any matches, but I took some dudes out. But the way weapons work, you have weapons and you have, I believe they are called hacks. And hacks are basically like your special ability. One of my favorites was you just get into a ball. You just become a giant like metal ball. And like it's kind of like a trampoline where like you can get momentum if you bounce. So like the next bounce can be a little higher, and you can just bounce around. Like we did a lot of damage. Like I don't know necessarily what the strategy would be, but it was cracking us up when we first jumped into the game. It was like, whoa, did you get the ball thing? And then a lot of the other stuff is pretty typical. There's more shield, more health, or a health, on cooldown that you can heal yourself, like a little burst of speed, invisibility. But the ball was really, I made sure to get lots of ball footage. That was definitely unique. It has the classic battle royale thing that you're used to, where you cannot be in areas until while they're
I know it has a
you.
ball. Splatoon has a ball. I was like, there's some shooter I played with a ball. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, nice. And then it like splats and shoots out ink.
Yeah, I don't think it bounces, but you can roll it out, and then like it explodes.
So they want to keep you on the move like most battle royales do. But the two things that are interesting about that, one, it does it district by district. And so it's not just like a ring that's closing in. It's like a whole district will all of a sudden, start to deteriorate, basically. And because you're kind of in this like cyber world, it starts to get little black triangles on it. So like the texture starts to disappear. So you can kind of tell, like, you'll be looking down the ground and like, uh-oh, like I'm standing on a place that's going to be, it's not like there's a wall of fire coming at me. It's like literally the ground I'm on right now is going to become scorched earth and is going to start doing more and more damage. And then it gets to a point where then it's completely destroyed. So like you can't go in there and there's nothing there. It's just like totally empty. And they actually use that to scale, because I don't know, I'm not sure how many players there were. I think we had somewhere in the 30s when we were playing, but I think because it was a preview event, we had people coming in and dropping out, and so I don't know what the cap is. But when we had a smaller group, they would just black out some of the districts. So when you were flying in, you'd be like, oh, okay, it's a very selective map. But I thought that was interesting visually. Just it's a different just change up in the genre, just to have this kind of like Matrix effect of just like, oh no, the ones and zeros in that building are degrading, and it's going to start doing.
Yeah, it reminds me of Assassin's Creed a little bit.
Yeah, and it did have a little bit of that, kind of Watch Dogs vibe of there's definitely a cyber theme going through this. When you die, you can actually scout for the rest of your team, so you can not just watch your players, but you actually are physically moving around in the environment, and you can kind of see those ghosts a little bit. They're just kind of like little pixels flying around, so like a yellow thing will like zip by you, and you're like, oh, I think that's another player. And the way they do revives is interesting, where I don't know if this is every time you get a kill, and I don't think it's just your team, but like when kills happen, sometimes it'll drop like a station on the ground, and then if you get taken out and I run over to one of those things and then hit the button, it'll audibly flag the rest of my team, and I'll yell like, hey, I'm at one of these, and then one of my teammates can run up and we can handshake, and then it brings me back into the game. But it has to be, like a death has to have happened, whether that was you or another team. So it's interesting if there's a lot of action going on in one area, because it creates a lot of these points. But at the same time, there were definitely times I got taken out and I was like, all right, never mind. There's just nothing around us. Like, oh well, I'll get ready for the next match. The way they do weapons is very interesting, and the hacks as well, because they level up when you get another one. So lots of resources. I don't know. If this was
so
just
like if you get 2 assault rifles, you'll be at level 2.
And that keeps going. I think there's 4 levels that you can level it up to, but it's tough because if you want the gun that your favorite gun, in Battle Royale, you don't always get that choice. You kind of want to grab like the first thing that you see.
Right.
And the same thing with skills. I definitely wanted like either a shield or a heal or something, because I'm like, I'm going up against pros here. I need some kind of backup.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me, because like the same kind of thing will happen, just naturally in so like PUBG or something, right? Like you'll have a lot of ammo for one gun, even though like you like another gun better. It's like, well, I've got the ammo for this. Right. So yeah, it feels kind of a similar mechanic. And it's squads of 3, and so I imagine if you're doing a good job communicating with your team, or if you're playing with people that you regularly play with, in the mode that we were playing, it was called Squad Crown Rush. Okay. So that was like literally the only thing that was on offer. But I imagine if you're playing with people that you know a lot, and like if I'm playing with Huber, it's like, okay, well, I just won't grab the shotgun, and I'll just shout out shotgun whenever I see it, so he can run over and like, oh, I'm at level 3. Okay, there, I've finally leveled that up. But it was definite, and I don't know if just for the preview event they want us to have like lots of items, because there was stuff all over the place. Like it's like I said, you go into a building and I would just keep running up the stairs to get items and to get to the rooftop to be able to move around easier. And each floor had like 4 or 5, like 2 weapons and 3 hacks, and so it's neat because it was very easy to find a weapon after I landed, and I don't think there was any time where like I landed and was taken out right away. I don't know, it just made it very active that I was constantly looking for. It's like, oh, I have that one hack I really like, or that one thing, or you constantly get opportunities to change up what you're doing, like to change up your weapon. It's not so desperate for resources, although I'm sure, and all that stuff mixes up every time, so it's not like the weapons are in the same spot every time, so you don't know, going back to your favorite area. It gave us something to do, because there's definitely a lot of downtime in a lot of the battle royales that I've played, and so it was neat when you're picking up this stuff and focusing on what I want and maybe helping out teammates find things. It just gave me something to do, because like if I find
you know, a really good gun in Fortnite, I'm just going to completely ignore everything else. But it was just neat to like slowly have this leveling up system as I'm going through the match.
Yeah.
It has the notify mechanic from Apex Legends, so you can flag stuff, you can point at people, you can point at weapons and stuff you want to pick up. And there are events that pop up as well. So, and this was not the way it worked in our preview session, but you can hook that up via Twitch, so you can have people vote on what events they want to pop up.
Okay.
You have a double jump in the game. One of the events was triple jump. You know, it's just like you just get one extra jump. Or it's like unlimited ammo, or one thing does more damage. And those popped up pretty regularly, like, and they didn't last very long. And so, you know, there's no way you could like strategize around it. But again, that stuff was just happening. And there was an announcer who was like, you know, unlimited ammo starts now. It'd be interesting to see like how much Twitch can spam that.
Did you get to see like what kind of like progression you get between matches?
They'll have a battle pass. We leveled up very slowly. We had like one level. I don't know what you would get at the second level, and I'm sure it was because we were playing extremely poorly. But yeah, it definitely was going to take a while to get to the next one, and we only got to the end once, so I never actually got to demonstrate this. I have no footage of it, but there's the hyperspace crown. That is the crown and crown rush. So that's the end of the match. Once you get to, you know, kind of similar to when you were playing the Forza Battle Royale, you know, you get down to like the last group of people, and then a crown would spawn. You have to grab it and hold it for 45 seconds, and then you are the victor.
45 seconds.
Yeah. And
how big is this thing?
How big is the map?
No, the crown. How visible are you with this thing?
I saw the crown object when they described
it.
it. I didn't actually see anybody doing it. Was not able to hold it myself. But it's not, and I don't know how hard it is to find. It's not a huge object. I mean, it's just, you know, character sized. It's just something that would probably just fit on your head. But I had yet to, again, apologies to everybody for not, you know, flexing my skills and actually making that happen. But yeah, so we only played one mode, so there wasn't like a ton to dig into. And, you know, I picked a character model, but I mean, there wasn't like, you know, specifically you go in and you know, based on the hacks that you pick up, the weapons that you want, that's you shaping the abilities of your character. And so it's not like an Overwatch where like there are specific, you know, character exclusive abilities. You would maybe put a little more thought into that. And like they said, they're going to add new stories and characters regularly. And so stylistically, this game might be modified in that way as they move forward. But one thing that I didn't really think about right away, but I noticed when we were getting near the end of the session, everything ran great. Like, didn't have any hiccups getting into it. I mean, there's just a little bit of organizing because they had to do the whole thing online, and so there was just kind of shifting people around into different areas. And you know, I ended up teaming up with, you know, two people that I had not met before, and it was easy for us to communicate. Very easy, quickly for us to get into matches, and yeah, it just worked. Performance-wise, I thought, you know, for having this giant city that we were running around in, there was just not a like environmental destruction, so it's not just like Battlefield crazy, but I was pretty impressed with the scale of the map and the speed at which we were moving. There wasn't, you know, with jump pads and being able to jump from rooftop to rooftop, and there wasn't a lot of downtime, I felt. So it was a really neat preview session because it didn't take them a lot of time to explain the mechanics of the game, and we were able to jump into it right away, and I just get lots of opportunities. You know, again, I think about 10 minutes before they called the session, I was like, I think I'm good. I don't think I'm going to get better at this. And I think I've got a lot of footage. And so I can imagine some people kind of rolling their eyes at a new Battle Royale, but I think it just being exclusively first person, obviously COD, and a lot of people are doing that, but I thought they're definitely doing a lot of things that stylistically will help, you know, differentiate it, and just a lot of that Twitch functionality I'm really curious to see.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it feels in practice, whether it feels like it's too much, too annoying to have things just, you know, getting thrown at you all the time. But it sounds, yeah.
And sure. I brought this to you because I know what a big fan of Battle Royales you are, playing.
I played a little bit, but yeah, not that much.
I don't know if it's the review that you need of a new Battle Royale game, but I didn't mind losing at this thing. You know, I didn't mind, you know, getting schooled. I definitely recognized the good players. And like I said, I believe you asked how to scale the buildings, and they have jump pads, and so there's just a lot of fun mobility options. I think the only thing I could say negatively about it is just that it's a big city, you know, and so it is. While it was neat seeing all these big structures, and it was neat, you know, having all, you know, fighting happening in the buildings, fighting happening on the floor, fighting happening up the rooftops, you know, getting sniped by some guy on a rooftop from super far away. I could see it, you know, potentially being a little jarring from people that are used to, you know, how the crazy tall jungles and canyons of Apex, and, you know, how creative Fortnite has gotten with their map over the years. You know, it definitely just was a big city. But I just remember, like, you know, being impressed, like, oh, I'm amazed this runs this well. I played it on PC, by the way. Check out potentially more from us if maybe we hand this off to Huber or Brad or somebody that might be competent at this game. Maybe we can get 3 players together. I don't know if there's going to be other modes, but it was fun doing a preview, fun actually demoing a game that we get to talk about.
Well, yeah, fun getting your hands on something you've never seen or heard of before.
Yeah.
Sure.
And another reason why, you know, this is popping up, I was like, hey, it worked. You know, there was never like, oh, sorry, everybody, we got technical difficulties, or like some weird thing where we were stuck in a lobby, or like weird lag issues while I was playing. So I had fun. I lost, but I had fun.
Nice.
One down.